So, Kerbal Space Program 2 is kind of busted. And I'm not just talking about that issue that came up just this week with the Windows registry, where the game basically dumps a bunch of files into it until eventually the game can no longer launch. It's been almost exactly 7 months since the release of Kerbal Space Program 2 in early access back on February 28th of this past year. And while in that time we've gotten a couple of bug fixes and literally a handful of new parts, it's definitely clear that the pace of these upcoming milestones is a bit slower than I think any of us expected. I mean, we're basically coming up on the end of 2023 as we speak, and as far as information regarding science goes, we've gotten a couple of screenshots and one GIF. But that is a damn good GIF, I will say. But I don't want to talk about Kerbal Space Program 2 today, as I really want to cover that topic more in the future, but I don't want to talk about it until we've had at least a year with the game. So around the 1-year anniversary of Kerbal Space Program 2, I do plan to do a deep dive into exactly what went wrong, what went right, what could have been improved, basically just a recap of the history of the first year of Kerbal Space Program 2. I just think that's a good time to do a retrospective on it, and I think it's only fair to give it at least 1 year before I make any comments on it. No, today we are going to be talking about Kerbal Space Program, the brand, and its relationship to this channel. It's actually really interesting because Kerbal Space Program was the game that led to my channel getting its first major spike in growth about 1 year ago, actually. And as of right now, it's been 7 months since I made a Kerbal Space Program video, it's been 5 months since I made a Kerbal Space Program 2 video, and it's been 3 months since I made a Kerbal Space Program 2 live stream. And I do understand that many of you did subscribe to this channel pretty much exclusively for the Kerbal Space Program type content. And I understand that that can be frustrating. I do get your frustrations. You can throw them at me. You can call me a stinky baby, you know, anything you want. Now, the flow of Kerbal Space Program 1 content coming to a halt was actually planned. You see, back when I was doing the original series, right smack dab in the middle, we got that sweet, sweet announcement that Kerbal Space Program 2 was coming out. And it was coming out quickly. It was going to come out in February of 2023. And so I decided around that point that it was a good chance to wrap up my series on Kerbal Space Program 1 and move swiftly into Kerbal Space Program 2 upon its release. I figured for the first 6 months of the game's release, we could do some one-off series, not really doing anything related to the Jebediah Space Agency, but that would give us a chance to get acquainted with the game and familiarize ourselves with the new mechanics. And throughout that time, new updates would come out, slowly adding new stuff into the game. Meaning around the 6-month to 1 year out point, I could start my brand new series up, as within a couple months after that, we may be seeing our first signs of the new Star System Deb. Which, of course, if you're a fan of the original Kerbal Space Program series, you know that that is a huge cliffhanger for the end of that series. But of course, here we stand at the 7-month mark, and at this point, there is no clear answer as to when we're even going to get the first milestone update for science. As of the time of recording this video, not even the development team seems to know exactly when it's going to come out. It could very well be something that comes out at the 1-year anniversary of this game. Look, again, I'm not trying to stir up any sort of controversy. Trust me, the subreddit and the Discord are doing a phenomenal job of that already. I just wanted to make it clear exactly where my head has been throughout this whole development cycle of the last 7 months, as I really want to get jump-started on the next season or next series of Kerbal Space Program content. I'm not trying to point any blame specifically at the development team or at the publication studio. I'm just a person who needs to get a series out pretty soon, and I think at this point, it's time to move on to Plan B. A while back on a live stream, I said
the future of the Jebediah Space Agency is still unknown. I want to do it in KSP2, but if KSP2 is going to take years to get to a point where we could actually make that happen, you know, I may have to reevaluate some things, may have to bump it back into, maybe do some modded KSP1 for that instead.
And that's basically what I'm going to do. Yes, the Jebediah Space Agency Season 2 is officially moving forward into production as a modded Kerbal Space Program 1 series. And I know this is probably something that's going to excite a lot of you who have watched the first series, as there were many people who suggested that I install a lot of crazy mods, but I really wanted to keep that series pretty vanilla. But this will give us a really cool chance to move forward into some more interesting content with a game that has a lot more in-depth stuff in it. I pretty much always had this in mind as a backup. This is why I kept the finale of the first season very vague about exactly what star systems were out there. I didn't drop any sort of names. I didn't say anything about KSP2. I just mentioned there was something else out there. So now I know what your next question is. When exactly is this going to come out? Other than getting an outline done for the basic structure of how I want this season to go, I haven't really done much development of this because I wanted your help. If you're watching this video on the day it comes out, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I will be streaming on a brand new channel over on Twitch. This doesn't mean the end of live streams over here on YouTube. The Twitch channel is going to act as a sort of looser, more casual place for live streams that I really don't want to put much planning or thought into. This could be games that I think just do better on a Twitch format, it could be a just talking stream, or it could even be some development into the editing process of some of my more long-form content, which is something that I want to start doing more of as we move into the fall and the winter. Like I said, the first stream is happening tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that stream is going to be a development stream for this series. Together, chat and I are going to test out Kerbal Space Program 1 mods live on stream to see which ones would make a good candidate for the upcoming series. And if you already have some suggestions, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'll already have them pulled up to look at when we start the stream tonight. Specifically, the mods I'm looking for should include new star systems, new parts, especially colony parts, because a big part of this series is going to be moving beyond the Kerbal system and moving into something foreign. Basically, any mods that fulfill some of the stuff that's planned to come out in Kerbal Space Program 2 but isn't there yet, that's what I want to see. Quick note, these mods need to be officially supported on the latest version of KSP, and they also need to be available on CCAN, because I really don't want to introduce any sort of viruses into my system that are disguised as funnyjebmod.exe. I really do want you guys to be a huge part of this series, as collaboration from people in the comments was a big part of moving forward the initial series. These KSP mod streams are going to continue for about the next month or so, as I'm looking to start getting episodes out for this series in about November of this year. And these streams are going to be pretty sporadic. I don't know exactly what days or what times I'm going to do it. Basically, whenever I have a chance to sit down and work on it, that's when the stream is going to happen. And if you don't want to miss any of those, it is incredibly important that you join our Discord, as that is where we announce all live streams and all videos right when they happen. So if you don't want to miss anything, I encourage you to join that. You can follow a link down in the description to do so. Once I have a good idea of what mods I do want to use, full production will begin on... Oh, hold on, here comes the title reveal. He's gonna reveal the title. Kerbal Space Program Beyond the Stars. Yes, that is the name of the second series of this show. Get hyped, get excited. Oh my god, it's so amazing! So yeah, for anyone who thinks that I left Kerbal Space Program in the dust, I didn't. I'm absolutely looking forward to getting work done on this series, as it was one of the most fun series to do on this channel, and I still look back on it incredibly fondly. Also, keep in mind that this series is going to be exactly like the first series. There's going to be a lot of new stuff that I have yet to encounter with these new parts and new star systems. And it's going to be a little light on the story. You're probably going to see some story-driven stuff in the first episode and, of course, in the final episodes. But it's really going to be mostly a gameplay series. So don't worry about this becoming too overburdened with any sort of story or machinima elements. If you loved the first series, you're going to love the second series. And if you haven't watched the first series, holy crap, go watch it. Go watch it. There's a card at the top of the screen. Go watch that series. It's amazing. But that's about all I have for today, so thank you again for watching. Remember to go over to Twitch tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and tune in for that very first Kerbal Space Program mod stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I will be addressing Kerbal Space Program 2 and all of the controversies surrounding it at a later date, but I do want to give it some time to develop and fester a little bit more before I do that. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell for all notifications, and I will see you guys at tonight's stream.
Why is he being mean to Kerbal Space Program 2? They fixed the frame rate problems.